we have Mohammad Yahya versus Trevor Peek. Mohammad, he is 12-3, 29 years old, 5-0 in his last five. I believe this is going to be his UFC debut. 5'9", 73-inch reach. Fight against Trevor Peek, 8-1, 4-1 his last five. He's coming off of that pretty convincing L against Chepe Mariscal. 28 years old, 5'9" as well, 70-inch reach. So Muhammad does have the 3-inch reach advantage here. Odds for this really wild swings. Trevor Peek opened up at a plus 330 underdog. And throughout these last 2-3 weeks or so, he has been now bet to a minus 161. So a total complete line movement right there. I think that's a really interesting telltale sign. I mean, usually, for as long as I've been kind of tracking these line movements and these kind of fights, usually when an underdog flips to a favorite, that whoever flips to a favorite usually has won at a higher clip, from what I've seen at least, because it kind of shows that you know the bookies set a line one way, and then people did their research, they did their study, and then they kind of push that line to the other side, especially when it's this drastic from a 3-1 dog to now he's almost a 2-1 favorite. So Yaha, he is a patient striker. I think that he does keep his hands somewhat low near his chest area. He likes to kind of bounce in and out of range. Very much like a sniper style kind of striker and a fighter. He can be low volume at times because he tries to really hunt for that perfect KO shot. He does have KO power, and he can KO you if he lands those shots. He also has good kind of cage awareness. So like if people are threatening him with their striking exchanges, he can kind of hold people against the cage if needed. But I don't know if he has like good like wrestling skills or takedown skills to actually get the fight to the ground and like hold people there. He's more so of a striker from what I've seen, and he can also get hit kind of with his low volume kind of pressure there. So um, I think that that's going to be potentially bad news against a guy like Trevor Peek because, if you remember, Chepe incorporated a lot of grappling in that win that he did against Trevor Peek, right? I mean, Trevor Peek has granite chin, throws wild with some good power. He did get taken down and exposed by Chepe in this area. But I think that just from the stylistic matchup in this fight, you're not going to get a lot of grappling from Muhammad, and this is probably going to be a stand-up fight. So I think that what people are seeing is that eventually Trevor Peek is going to weather these potential storms. And it might not even be that much of a storm because Muhammad is a patient striker. He's going to wait until someone comes at him. So man, I think that right now I would say Peek by KO is going to be something that's really interesting. I mean, I know that it might be tough to lay juice on Trevor Peek after that last performance. This is the guy that does like hammer fist punches. It might be tough to kind of lay money on a guy like that, right? Who is not the most technical guy, but I think that Peek by KO is probably the play here. I'll see what the weigh-ins look like, but the pick for now is Trevor Peek. But yeah, I mean, I probably will stay away from this as well because I just don't know if I can trust Trevor Peek unless he's facing like a Cam, like Eric Gonzalez, right? Like that was a perfect matchup for him to kind of showcase his skills. But if he's fighting against a guy who is a more patient striker, more technical striker, he could run into the same issues they ran into against Chepe. So the pick right now is Trevor Peek, but I'm probably staying away from this. Alex, what do you think about this fight between Peek and Muhammad here?
Yeah, I was actually going back and forth with this one. Like same kind of thought process as you. Like Trevor Peek looks like one of those fighters that like I don't want to back.
Yeah,
It's like one of those. I mean, like things can go wrong when you back this type of fighter, um, because they're like so wild. Um, I definitely see him as like a first round specialist. Like he throws with a lot of power. He's always going for that kill shot. He lets his hands and legs go with like, full force. Um, and he puts on a like insane pressure from like the opening bell, from what I've seen. One thing I did notice was that it seemed like his even though he was really gassed, like it seemed like his power was carrying over like relatively well. Like it still seemed like his shots like if they land they would really hurt. So I mean that's something that's going for Peak. And then for Muhammad Yahya, making his UFC debut, one thing like I noticed even before I broke down Muhammad Yahya's tape, was that he does have one first round KO loss on his record. And Trevor Peek being a first round specialist, that could be something. Um, but breaking down his fight, I definitely do think Muhammad Yahya has skills. Um, I think he's more of like a counter puncher. And I can see him catching Peak when Peak kind of over aggresses in the first round. Um, But in his last, another thing I noticed was in Muhammad Yahya's last fight against Sohail Tahiri, he
Hmm.
was knocked to the ground at the end of the first round. So that further kind of it's like another data point of him, Muhammad Yahya, having a questionable, like being hittable in the first round. And he's just hittable in general. So yeah, going back and forth with this one, I think I'm gonna stay away as well. But yeah, I mean, I told myself I'm not backing fighters that are kind of like Trevor Peek, like the I don't know how to describe it. It's just like these losing fighters, like they find ways to lose. So yeah, staying away from this fight though.
Yeah, I mean, I understand your thoughts. I mean, I think that the way that I would describe it is that these fighters that turn everything into a 50-50 brawl kind of style, right? It's like,
Yeah,
you know, and what we're trying to do here is we're trying to find an edge, right? So like, if I mean 50-50, is that really an edge? If you turn every fight into a 50-50, it means at that point it's a coin toss, right? We want to try to find an edge where we get a little bit of a favor. Let's say we get like a 60-40 or 70-30, something like that. So I mean, if you have a guy who just swings wildly, relies on his chin to kind of weather storms, not the best guy to back, especially as a favorite. I am envious of people who I mean, not cash, but like got Peak at those dog odds at plus 330 or plus 300 or something like that, because I think that's insane value right there. That's turning that's good for a 50-50 fight, right? To get those dog odds. So, but not right now at a minus 161. I think the odds have gotten a little crazy for this fight. So yeah, I mean, pick is Trevor Peek for both of us, but probably going to stay away. So yeah,